Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to be talking to you about classifying filters and circuits. So this is just like an intro, conceptual video about how it works. So there are four different types of filters. You have the low pass, high pass, band pass, and band stop. And the band stop could sometimes be called the band eliminator, either or. Anyway, so we're going to be focusing on, so let's say here we have our input voltage, okay, call it Vin. All right, and then it goes through some configuration of resistors, capacitors, inductors, and then here is our output voltage, our V out. So what happens here is that through the input voltage, we're shooting in different ranges of frequencies. All right, omega. So we're going to be shooting the frequencies to their extremes, like all the way to 0 or all the way to infinity. And then you examine whether they pass or not. So let me show you an example. So let's first talk about low pass. So low pass is when the filter blocks low frequency. Oh no, it accepts low frequency and it blocks high frequency. So let's call this the V out, okay? And this is the omega. Here omega is 0, and then as it goes that way, it approaches infinity. So it passes. Let's just have 1 right here. This is a 1. That means it passed. And then 0, it didn't pass. So if you shoot in low frequencies, so the frequencies that approach 0, the V out, they pass. So your V out is not blocked. Okay, so then as the frequencies get higher and higher as they approach infinity, the frequency is being blocked. And so it only passes low frequency, and that's why it's called low pass. So let's talk about high frequency, or high pass. High pass is that it blocks low frequency and it passes high frequency. So the opposite of low pass. Okay, so, and then let's talk about bandpass. Bandpass is when it blocks both low frequencies and high frequencies, but it passes the frequencies that tend to be somewhere in the middle. And then band eliminator is the opposite of bandpass, or band stop. So band eliminator, band stop is the opposite of bandpass, where it passes low frequencies and high frequencies, but somewhere in the middle, it is blocking that frequency. So let me show you now an example. So let's say we have, okay, so we have here our Vin, and here we have an inductor, and then here we have a capacitor, and then our V out is measured like this. So this would be our V out. So basically the V out would be the same voltage as the voltage across the capacitor, since voltage is the same in series. So right here, these two have the same, this has the same voltage as the V out. So what happens here, let's shoot in low frequency. So frequency as it approaches 0. Frequency as, if you know the impedance from the impedance of an inductor, which is J omega L, when omega approaches 0, okay, this is impedance, and the units of impedance is in ohms. That means we have 0 ohms, so this is basically a shorted wire, so it's passing through. And then here, the impedance of the capacitor is 1 over J omega C. So when omega approaches 0, then the denominator becomes 0, which is 1 over a very, very tiny, tiny number, and that becomes infinity ohms, and therefore this becomes an open wire. So you could basically erase that, and it just becomes an open wire. But then you're just left with V out being the same as V in, because voltage is the same in parallel. See, this became a shorted wire. So then V out and then V in are the same, and therefore the low frequency pass through. And now let's take a look at high frequency. When frequency approaches infinity, it's kind of the opposite. So this becomes, you put an infinity inside omega right here, then you have infinity ohms. So this becomes a shorted wire. Okay, and now that you have a shorted wire, you don't have a complete circuit. Therefore, the V out is 0, and that means the high frequencies did not pass. And therefore, because it accepted, I'm going to write LP for low pass and HP for high pass, because it blocked high pass and it accepted, it was able to pass the low frequencies through, it is a low pass filter. And that's basically the intuition behind classifying filters.